All right, everybody, here we go. Good evening. Welcome to the January 23rd, 2024 meeting of the Pequannock Town Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends and Daily Record newspapers, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Excellent. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Dreese is absent. Mrs. Florence Lynch? Here. Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
Mayor Hurd?
Here. Excellent. Next on the agenda is presentations. All right. But first, I'm going to call off former mayor, Mr. Cole. Please come to the front. We're going to put him on the spot. Council, would you like to come down too?
You want to go? Yeah. Sure.
Shall we retreat?
Are they taking pictures? I guess we go there. Yes, you're there.
So, Mayor Cole, who's been on council for what, 12 years? 12 years. 12 years. He doesn't look a day over 2, huh? He's been doing great. That was your third time as mayor, right?
Correct.
Third time as mayor. You know, it's really important to give back to the community, but then when you go above and beyond, he's got 12 years of that hat in the ring, 3 times being mayor. I think that's phenomenal. And, you know, from my heart and council's heart, we want to thank you. We've got a wonderful gift for you. Thank you. Something that'd be interesting to put on your papers. Hopefully not the bills.
Paperweight, I like that.
It's a special paperweight.
I can't buy one of my kids.
It doesn't go on bills, so I really want to thank you.
As council, we are just a small part of what makes this town great. You know, you, all the volunteers, everyone here tonight, really is what makes this town such a special place to live, raise a family. You know, I've lived here my whole life, 59 years. My parents grew up in town. It's just a general, beautiful place to live, and I'm happy to be here. So thank you very much.
You guys want to stay down here for the proclamation, it's up to you. There you go, I got him back. So, I wanted to tell you a little bit beforehand on this project. So, you should probably sit down. Any chairs? You want me to get you some chairs? You can sit while I talk. Just kidding. So, this is something that I don't know if you have had a chance to read my mayor's message, which is on the town website. Please go and do. Basically, I talk about faith, family, and freedom, and then I talk about community and culture. And when we talk about culture, it comes down to everything that Dave said, as well as volunteers. The thing is I was talking with some other people, and we were talking about our volunteers, and usually when you say volunteers, the first thing that comes to mind is always, you know, Fire Company 1, Fire Company 2, First Aid Squad, all the big ones. But then you start realizing how many other ones. And I started looking at what I've been involved in, everything from flood committee, economic development, Little League, soccer, Cub Scouts, I mean the whole 9 yards, and then you start really thinking, wow, there's a lot. And then working with Melissa and Kyle, we start brainstorming how many I forgot. And I'm sure there's more that I forgot. I'm going to apologize to anybody that I possibly left off. I swear I will get you on that list. But we went back and forth, and we started realizing, wow, You know, again, we are 7 square miles, 15,500 people, and I must have a list of close to 50 different organizations just in our town, all separate ones. So the first thing I want to do is acknowledge everything that you guys do, because you don't have to. Nobody has to put their hat in the ring, but yet, look at how many people just in this room, and there's 10 times the amount outside that weren't able to make it. So I really appreciate you. That's why it was very, very important to me, as well as the rest of council, to acknowledge everybody, but in a more appropriate way. So with that said, are you ready?
We're ready.
We're ready, okay. Wait, I'm not. So I can't see or hear anything. Okay. Now, you ready? This is for you guys. This is what it's all about. So, celebrating the heart of community, a tribute to Pequannock volunteer organizations. And that's all of you guys. Whereas volunteer service represents the best of the spirit of the United States, enabling people to solve problems by working together to find community solutions. And whereas volunteerism is one of the most vital mechanisms for social good, ensuring a lasting impact with its ability to provide assistance to the elderly, infirm, and needy. It boosts community morale, lifts up the community members, affirms faith to God, and generally makes a community a better place. And whereas volunteering enriches the community of Pequannock, protects its environment, and restores public lands, it helps ensure an adequate response to natural and man-made disasters, contributes to public safety, strengthens the public educational system, addresses food insecurity and other needs, lifts morale, improves the lives of the most vulnerable people of Pequannock, and does in fact make Pequannock a better place. And whereas the Township of Pequannock recognizes and appreciates the shared universal values underpinning volunteerism, free will, commitment, engagement, compassion, sacrifice, empathy, and respect for others. And whereas the Township of Pequannock wishes to promote, encourage, and expand opportunities for volunteer service and strengthen the capacity of organizations and communities to solve problems. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Township Council, and the Township of Pequannock does hereby commend, celebrate, and express its great appreciation for the volunteer missions, efforts, and contributions, I messed that up, of the following volunteer organizations. Just to give you an idea.
Wow, and they got them all on one page.
And I'm sure I'm missing, so to anybody out there, I do apologize, I will add you to the list, but I do want to go through this really quick. When I call off your group, if you could just raise your hand, I'd really appreciate it. Pequannock Township First Aid and Rescue Squad. Hospital Plains Engine Company 1, anybody here from Company 1? How about Company 2? Okay, not a problem. Pequannock Valley Rotary, anybody here from them? And a side point, right? Every time we get a new police officer, you guys donate the first vest. And that's what I mean. Pequannock Regional Chamber of Commerce, I saw you here. Pequannock Township Public Library Board of Trustees, anybody here from the board? And of course, Friends of Pequannock Township Library, anybody here from that? Okay, well, American Legion, Post 450 and 242. Pequannock Township Historical Society. Boy Scout Troop 79 and 144. Boy Scout 144, Cub Scout is 79-144, and then Boy Scouts, or Boy Scouts. Girl Scouts of Pequannock. Anybody here from Girl Scouts? All right, we're still going to clap together. What about the Pequannock Planning Board? The Pequannock Zoning Board of Adjustment. Anybody from zoning? How about Dollar Ride, Five-Town Regional Dollar Ride? Municipal Alliance Committee. Anybody here from that? No? Okay. Shade Tree Commission. Anybody Shade Tree? How about Environmental Commission? I did see it. There we go. Everybody see that PowerPoint collection I just happened a couple weeks ago? Did you see the pictures of how much stuff we had? I mean, it was packed. It was great. Okay, Economic Development. Anybody here from Economic Development? Flood Control. Anybody from Flood? Flood Committee? Well, you are. Historic District. Anybody Historic District? Thank you for coming. Of course, he's also part of the Pequannock High School Marching Band. #1 pit crew. Thank you very much. Open Space. Anybody here from Open Space? Yes. Open Space. Parks and Rec. Parks and Rec? Yes. Senior Citizen Advisory. Anybody Senior Citizen Advisory? How about Unico? Unico? We've got to have Unico in here. No? Okay. Community Partners of Hope. Yes. Come on in, Iron Man. That there is an Iron Man, ladies and gentlemen. He is one of the hardest working people in Little League. Thank you very much. Suburban Women's Club. We have them. Yes. How about the Pequannock Township Food Pantry? Every organization is important, but wow. I mean, there's nothing like putting food on somebody's table, so I really appreciate that. Knights of Columbus. Do we have Knights of Columbus here? Say this, Pequannock. Columbiettes. Pequannock Columbiettes.
Yeah, big Columbia.
Okay, anybody there? No? Okay. We can still practice. How about Pequannock Disc, 55 Senior Activity Club? Pequannock Adopt-A-Pet. Anybody here? No? Okay. And then we're also going to do Animal Shelter. Anybody from the Animal Shelter? We kind of work together. How about Quilting for a Cause? And then this list starts getting really, really big, but everybody from all Pequannock club teams, baseball, softball, cheer, lacrosse, soccer. We also have Pequannock Little League. Thank you very much, guys. But it's not just that, because then when you start looking at the schools, where it's all the parents of the homeschool associations for Hillview, North Boulevard, Gerace, Pequannock Valley Middle, and high school, of course, back to marching band and everybody else associated with that. And then on top of that, it's all the churches in town and everything that comes off of those churches. Again, this is a huge list, and it's even bigger when you start thinking about everything from the churches. Thank you very much. I appreciate everything that you do. The schools, the teams, and then you start realizing how big this is. And you start realizing how important this is to our community. And this is where the culture for our community is, and that's what makes Pequannock great. So from my heart to you guys, this is all about you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming in. This is the best thing in the world. All right? I'd like to get a great picture with everybody, so let's figure out how to get a good picture. Maybe everybody can stand up, kind of come together, and we'll do the selfie thing. And then number 2, if anybody wants a copy of this, I'm going to make a ton of copies, and I can drop it off to everybody, all the different organizations. Give us about a week or 2, something like that. So we'll take care of it, not a problem. So, everybody up, come on.
We got one more to do.
Well, I'll ask Gentlemen, somebody take a picture. Let's see what you can do.
Try to get everything.
Let's try to get everybody between the blocks if we can.
You like my wife?
Can we get everybody?
Yes.
Turn around, Melissa. All right.
Everybody, 3, 2, 1. Got it.
All right, wait. We got to do a good picture.
And a fun one?
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Everybody's hands in the air. This is a celebration, right? Ready? 3, 2, 1. There we go.
Done. How are you, John? Happy New Year. Thank you.
All right, let's get to business.
There's like 5 of them, so hopefully one of them comes out all right.
I still can't believe I can't get on here. Nobody knows the Wi-Fi password.
We redid all kinds of points and then put secure passwords in, so I don't, like I said, I didn't know you were.
But we didn't mention, I don't know it. I used to know it.
No, it's not the same.
Mayor
That's my
David
point.
J. Cole.
That's nice. Get on my hotspot. I don't know why.
Just do
Like
No, she's having surgery.
I know, you said. When is she actually going in?
Hotspot was on, so I should have been able to.
You just have to connect your computer to that.
Huh?
You have to be able to connect your computer to that.
Yeah, they're not synced.
Well, you gotta be able to find your hotspot.
Appreciate it. Comment?
It wasn't like there was anything that, but I got a nice list.
We're interviewing somebody next week. It's really more. It's exhausting. Well, thank you.
I don't care when you're over. I just want at this stage over, and not as much as you do.
All right. Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Ready.
Right.
You ready? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have to get back to our regular scheduled programming.
Very close now.
Oh, honey, my glasses.
Discuss our differences.
Not far.
Together.
And ask you to.
At this time, are there any reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community? I think they all ran out. Anybody want to come up? Volunteers, please.
I'll come up.
Come on up, yeah. State your name and what you're doing.
Bob Friedman with the Historical Society.
How are you?
So we do have a historical speaker. We originally had it that would have conflicted with your reorg meeting, but we rescheduled it. It's Wednesday, January 31st at 7 p.m. at the library. It's going to be a talk about the JFK assassination. So everybody is welcome. There's actually, the library has a web page to sign up, but come either way.
Where is it going to be? Is it going to be in that back room at the library, or you don't know yet?
I don't know yet. Typically, it's in the room just to the right of the door.
Oh, as you come in.
But they'll pick.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
What time?
7 p.m.
Okay.
Wednesday the 31st.
7 p.m. Thank you. Any other volunteers? Okay, seeing none, moving on. Public comment. Next item on our agenda is public comments. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anybody wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. Come on up. It's kind of like open mic night, except public comment.
What are you saying?
Hey, so Mayor, thank you very much for the proclamation tonight. Great job.
Appreciate that.
Councilman, thank you very much for all your service.
Oh, I need your name for the...
Oh, sorry, Vinny Siracusa, right?
How do you spell that last name?
Siracusa, common spelling.
Yeah, give him a hard time.
So I just wanted to thank you guys because, you weren't recognized for everything that you all do, Board of Education and everything else too. So, it's great to be part of many of these groups growing up in town, from the Boy Scouts 10-9, 144, the Little League and everything else is great. But one thing I want to recognize is the New Jersey Army National Guard, the 44th Infantry Brigade Combat Team is deploying this week.
I saw that on Facebook, yeah.
Yep. So I'm actually the Rear Dep Brigade Commander for all the soldiers who are staying behind. We have about 1,800, 1,900 soldiers going forward from the state of New Jersey. A few of them actually do live in town.
I was going to ask, do you have any idea how many are from town?
I know one for sure, but there may be maybe 2 to 3, depending on their deployment status. I can just tell you that right now. But Mayor, I can absolutely get you those names if you like, as soon as we validate that this week.
Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to say, maybe just keep them in our prayers, and maybe we can recognize them going forward because, they are volunteers. They're volunteering, not only for our state, our town, but our country. Things have gotten pretty real over in Iraq and Syria the last few months. Everybody sees it on the news. So these ladies and gentlemen, they're going into harm's way. So if we can just keep them in our prayers, I'm sure that their families would absolutely appreciate that.
Is that where they're all going, Syria, or?
We're going to Iraq, Syria, and Kuwait.
Okay.
And maybe somewhere else.
Vinny, I just wanted to thank you. You personally reached out to one of my friends, Kevin
Yes.
Steveny, who is being deployed,
Yep.
and you offered a lot of help. He was very excited
Yep.
that you were there as a source.
Well, that's
for
great.
him and the family.
Thank you. Well, one thing I believe as a commander is you have to take care of the family.
Yeah.
Whether it's the soldier's family, your family, but those are your subordinates that are underneath you. That's the family. And you can only build this family. You make the family stronger. You don't embarrass the family, and you build them up. So that's how we do it in the 44th. That's how I do it in my command. And but I just wanted to just make sure we recognize them going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. Our prayers are definitely with them. Would anybody else like to come up and say anything?
You're going to invite me here.
Come on up.
Matt Ringen, Pequannock Little League. First off, thank you all for your recognition tonight. And to all the volunteers, Mr. Siracusa, what you just said, it's a tough act to follow, praying for those soldiers. But I'd be remiss if I didn't come up and ask this question just based on some things that I learned of late. So Pequannock Little League, we are extremely fortunate to have the DPW in town and all the work that they do for our fields, maintaining our fields. They do a fantastic job, and at times probably more than they care to do, but we're truly appreciative of that. So I just want to make that point first so everyone understands kind of where we're coming from. But recently I was told, and I did some research, that Wayne Township was able to put in a turf field at one of the facilities. And now I don't know what this process entails, but I know this has been an agenda item on our budget that's gotten pushed out a couple of times. With respect, I understand that there's other priorities in town. We do have nice facilities, so I don't want to downgrade that.
Yep.
But I was also told that they applied for and received a grant, and it was paid for, the field.
Any idea what that grant was?
I don't know. They didn't tell me what the grant title was. I mean, I could try and find out.
Yeah.
But I know just from our own research, there are programs out there. Granted, we are a higher economic town, so I don't know what you can and can't qualify for, so I'm not naive to that.
Can't be
But-
much different than Wayne.
Right.
That's the reason why I'm up here, because I've seen some other towns get them, but, and listen, at the end of the day, it comes down to, there's some cost savings for the DPW, where they wouldn't have to they cut less grass, less to maintain, and some of the things, some of the things that we would be looking to do, the Little League itself would be willing to financially contribute as well. Grant?
Adam, could you, I know you're familiar with grants and stuff like that.
Yeah,
How do we go about doing that?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ringen, and this has been a question in the past of how this happens. And the big issue is the county open space tax in Essex, I know, and I believe in Passaic, can be used for the development and improvement of fields.
Okay.
Morris counties cannot.
Okay.
That's interesting.
It's what the allowable uses are based upon the referendum that created the tax. So if my recollection is accurate, the county of Morris is actually going to be studying this. We may have a member of our governing body who is recommended to participate in that volunteer group to review what the county's open space tax can be used for. But right now, we can't apply for the development or improvement of a park through the county open space tax, whereas Wayne, I believe, can.
Okay.
And
All right, that makes
I don't
sense.
know it,
And
but my
listen,
gut
I
is
don't know
it's happened before where they've gotten it. When I worked in Essex County, I secured $1 million grant to turf a field from the county open space tax, and that's the principal difference.
Boy, that would be nice, I gotta tell you. Imagine if that Washington Park...
Well, and listen, I'm not even necessarily, I don't know how it works with fields and whatnot and what's owned by the Board of Ed. Hillview's field for soccer, you could turf that whole field, soccer, baseball, everyone benefits.
But my hope is the county, through their investigatory process, determines that that's a wise thing to do and goes back to the voters for that approval.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, we'll definitely look into it, but thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if
And
you see
you
the
could
question,
find
vote
out-
yes.
Oh, yeah, you got it.
And if you could find out, just do a little digging, if it's something that we don't know of, be great, thank you.
Let me piggyback on that. Gene Spillane, 18 Cooper Road.
Hey, Gene,
How's it going, Ryan? Oh, Mr. Mayor?
living the dream?
Grants.gov. So it's grants.gov, or federal grants. That would be under the Presidential Physical Fitness Grant, and you will find it there.
That's interesting.
It is federal money, and it would be to support school systems looking for athletic equipment and facilities.
So that's, what, under which sub-item? Presidential physical fitness?
Yes. Grants.gov is, there's a little search engine in there, and you can say physical fitness, and there are grants in there. Now, I don't know if it'll pay for the whole thing,
No, but
that's some federal cheese.
we work very well with other people's money. So one of our things, and true, it's one of the big things that we believe in Pequannock, is if we can get more of those federal funds. We've been very successful doing that with the FEMA elevations.
Yes.
But, these are your tax dollars that are going out to state and federal, and the more of those tax dollars we can get back, the better it is for the community.
Exactly.
State, federal, and county.
Yes,
If
that's
I
true, and
may
county.
segue to the veterans organizations in
Absolutely.
town. And Ben? There you go. How do I get blind when I'm up on it? The New Jersey Veterans Network, you're familiar with us, right?
Good friends with Michael Hall.
There you go. All right. You were. There we go. Well, I don't want to exhaust my 3 minutes here. But, rolling with Hull on making sure the brigade's taken care of. As a matter of fact, you and I are going to be talking a lot about that. And we can segue right now to the Memorial Day Parade. We have asked Colonel Chilton, is Forrest Chilton Jr.'s, Forrest Chilton III's son. Forrest Chilton died at the age of 23, crashed in the English Channel in 1944, shortly after D-Day in his P-47. His son has continued on the family's tradition of service. He has graciously agreed to be our Master of Ceremonies, our keynote speaker.
Excellent.
And, a native son.
I'm excited about that. Thank you very
We're,
much. You've
we're
been
happy
bringing
about that.
You've brought some amazing speakers, so I really appreciate that.
I'm not inviting any more generals, but there you go. And that is it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up.
Sandy LaCourte, 4 Pateri Place, Pompton Plains. I would just like to get a little bit of help. I've been writing, as has Jackie Stavala, regarding 60 Sunset and the fire code. We have asked very specific questions. We have asked them on the record. We have put them in writing. Adam is aware, and the only response we get is, I think it looks okay. That's the correspondence now that's on the website. And I think that is an inadequate answer to questions that are referencing very specific fire codes and concerns that this community has. And this has been asked on the record multiple times the other way. So I'm reaching out to you because I just don't know what to do to get a clear answer.
I know what to do.
What's that?
I'm going to ask the lawyer. What do you think?
I have no idea. I've not even looked at it.
Okay.
Not even aware of it.
Can I forward you my letter and Jackie's letter?
Maybe the manager?
As we've discussed in the past, unfortunately, it's an ongoing application before the Board of Adjustment, so it really wouldn't be appropriate for this body to weigh in, or any official to weigh in on an application or something that's before the Board of Adjustment. So I'm not going to comment on it.
I'm not going to ask you to give me the answer. What I'm asking is for you to encourage the people who you have empowered and hired in these roles to actually answer the questions that are being answered to them at that meeting.
I don't know if that would go under the building department, or is
It was Mark Line.
That would be for the board to...
I'm not going to weigh in or comment on the
official.
application as it is before the board.
When is the next meeting?
Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
And where is it?
At PTHS, at the high school in the auditorium. And I believe we're up on traffic. They had to do another traffic study. Thank goodness Kim Quigley finally asked for more clarity and more information, which the board has, the Zoning Board of Adjustments is allowed to do that at any time, and she finally did. Then they did a traffic study on a half day of school, so thank goodness our community members reported that, and they were forced to actually perform one on a more typical day of school. I have to go up onto the website.
Unfortunately, as official body, we can't comment on that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like two different sandboxes.
I understand.
They have their responsibility, and it just has to go through the process, so.
Yes, and Adam has told me that, but out of frustration, I want it on the record, and I want you to know what's been happening, and if your hands are tied, I do understand that. However, I think it needs to be on the record that this is unacceptable answers that we're getting, and when we try to go through proper channels, we're still not getting the answers. So
Well,
I
thank
don't
you.
know what
It's
else
on
to
the
do.
record again.
Okay.
Everybody's abreast of
Thank
it.
you.
That's excellent. Thank you very much, Sandy.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? No? Oh, come on up. And then I got to move on, just so everybody knows.
Bob Friedman. First, I wanted to say how happy I was to see all the town volunteers and your proclamation about it. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I was aware of community events only related to schools and religious institutions. The city of Brooklyn was so large that I was never involved in the, or knew much about the government of the city itself.
Yeah.
So it's great to be in a little town where everyone could be involved in things that are kind of under the umbrella of the government. And I talk about this all the time when in work meetings. I meet people all over the world and talk about how great it is to be in this little town. That being said, I'm concerned about the library budget. And in a recent library meeting, it looked as though the capital budget was not approved. I'm concerned specifically that if there's roof repair or roof replacement, that it gets done expeditiously.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Anybody else? So unfortunately, we got to get moving, but there is another section for comment afterwards. Okay. Next on our agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Brewer, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. 3 quick items of business. The first is in the council's packet, the schedule or proposed schedule for meetings associated with the 2024 municipal budget is laid out. I know I've heard from one member already that there's some concern over the meeting on Saturday, February 24th.
Oh, right.
So I just wanted to check in with council to see, is this okay, or would you like to move some of the dates? How do you want us to proceed?
How is everybody good with with the 24th of February?
Well, unfortunately, I forwarded to Adam and to yourself. I don't know if you got to see it. I just did it today. So I was already committed to a strategic planning session through my full-time job.
Oh, okay. I mean, you have a day job?
And I have to go to Montclair for Friday into Saturday, and the session goes until 1 o'clock on Saturday.
Yeah, so
I'm
you're talking about
hoping
Friday the 23rd
Friday
and Saturday.
and Saturday. It's an overnight thing, and so I'm asking, I forwarded the email to both of you so you could see what it was I was going to. So
Can we push it to March 2nd?
So I'm wondering if we can move it.
If we push forward, it throws off the entire schedule toward adoption.
Right.
Can you do it early?
So we could move it up.
Is this
Challenge
the normal?
This is the normal schedule. If we move it from the 24th to the 17th, that's the Saturday of holiday weekend.
President's Day weekend. Is anybody going away?
So
Is that a problem?
It's done. I mean, it's whatever the council wants. The staff will make it happen.
I can do any other day.
Can you guys do the 17th?
If not the 17th to 10th, and then we just have to put everything together as quickly as possible. So whatever the
Can you
council's
do the-
pleasure, we'll make it
Can
happen.
you do
I can do the 17th.
I can do the 17th or the 24th.
Dave?
I can do the 17th or the 10th.
I can't do the 10th.
Okay. How about the 17th?
17th,
I can't do the 10th. I don't think I can do the 17th either. I'll have to check. The 24th I have open, but I know that Melissa's got a conflict, so I mean, I'm good for March 2nd too.
And we don't know about John.
What about
you-
on Saturday?
March 2nd, then we got.
Yeah, I can
If
do
we
it.
push later in the day,
I can do it after 1 o'clock. I can make sure I leave
What about
early.
the 24th at 2 o'clock?
I can't do it on the 24th till after 3 then.
Or at 3 o'clock? But then we're talking like 3 to 6.
If you guys are okay with that, I'm okay with that.
I'd rather not do it later in the day.
Yeah, me neither, but
March 2nd is not an option.
then it throws off the whole moving forward.
March 2nd is setting up for Grains of Hope. And then the 3rd is Grains of Hope.
So you were going to look at the 17th or the 10th, was it, Dave, that you said you would
The
just have...
10th I'm out. I'm in the
All right.
Poconos on the 10th. I might be able to do it on the 17th. I can text the boss and find out.
All right, so
Okay.
why don't we put it as a placeholder on the 17th? I'll also reach out to John to see how that works for him, and then we'll kind of take it
I
from
would
there.
appreciate it. yeah.
All right, so
How about the other days? Does the other days work for
The
everybody?
other days are fine for me. I noticed one, though, you had, I think you meant an hour, and you had it 2 hours, which would go into our council meeting. The utilities budget
yeah, it would
meeting.
be correct. Yeah, it'd be 6 to 7.
I was fine with every other date. I don't know about everybody else.
I'm double checking right now. 26th. Yeah, I'm good with all the other ones. What about you guys? You guys good with everything else?
Well, the other ones are all meeting days, so.
Yeah.
Right, they're just an hour earlier.
Correct.
Okay. All right, so
So
we'll do
we
that.
want to check on the 17th, February.
Yeah, you have to check on the 17th, and I will,
You just have to check with
I can do the
Dave
24th.
and John.
I got it on
Yeah,
my...
and just to confirm, I'll pencil that in for now, and Carol can provide the corresponding notice. If something needs to change, we can always change it.
yeah, I'll reach out to John. Okay.
Next item, we have a couple of grant opportunities. I just want to run past the council. It was shared with me, Councilman Cole, through the Assemblyman's office, who no longer represents us, but was kind enough to share information, which is always good. There's an AARP Community Challenge grant that may be appropriate for the senior house. We've had on our target list for a little while the senior house bathrooms. So,
Excellent.
work together a grant. If for some reason we're not successful with AARP, we can move that to CDBG, and if not, then obviously we can consider local funds. And then last year, we submitted a DCA Local Recreation Improvement Grant for the Greenview Park Pond Lining Project, which is still proceeding. We're just doing it differently. We're doing a lot of stuff in-house.
That's been the project that just keeps giving and giving.
Yes, it gets deeper and deeper. So this year, we were contemplating a project that hadn't been funded in the past, the controls for Washington Park.
Yeah.
The fact that has,
For lighting.
it's been requested for a long time and has never been funded, but getting the remote controls so we're not flipping a breaker.
Yeah, let's get that
Safety, have
done.
remote
Yeah.
stuff.
Because, I mean, we got to go in every time, they got to go in every time and flip breakers, and it's one thing that the knowledgeable guys know how to do that, but, as we're aging out, anybody new.
And it's just, you don't want to
it's
control
safety.
lights with circuit breakers.
Exactly.
There's a better way to do it. So, yeah, so we'd like to have the next generation so nobody sizzles. All right, so then we will prepare the corresponding grants accordingly. There will be legislative action for the DCA local improvement grant. I don't believe there is any for the AARP grant, but I'll circle back if there is a need for resolution of approval.
So you're going to call your AARP representative?
I'm going to fill out the application and see what we get.
So are we going to do two, or are we only going to do one for the DCA?
One for DCA.
Okay.
The Little League lights?
Yeah, I know a priority's been the pickleball court, but from a funding perspective.
And just
And it's
so
funding perspective.
everyone knows, it says, provide quality outdoor recreational space to underserved communities.
So we may or may not get it.
We were successful last year. I don't know if we'd be successful again, but I'm going to ask.
That's awesome.
Okay.
And you'll notice I forwarded you and
I'm
Ryan an
110%
email today
behind
to get a
that.
chance to go
There you go.
through. It was just about some other possible grant opportunities, but again, it's all based on.
To repeat the mayor's comment, we like to work with other people's money to do improvements in Pequannock Township. Next item, we have the Parks and Recreation fees, consistent with direction and discussion at a prior meeting. Those fees for the group user rate and the nonprofit groups have been increased slightly for the 2024 season. Provided the ordinance is introduced, public hearing will be on February 13th with potential adoption on that date, and the rates would become effective March 1st.
Okay.
Have we notified the for-profit organizations that there's potentially a change?
All information that goes out has included this with an asterisk based upon the last council meeting's direction.
Okay, thank you.
And then lastly, it's not in the written report. I apologize for the omission. We also have an ordinance for the council's consideration of introduction this evening to establish and preserve a cap bank. As the council has heard this every year for the last probably 15 years, the last 5 for me. This is not an ordinance that authorizes any additional spending. This is a ordinance that will allow for an insurance policy to preserve a cap bank, which is a mechanism in municipal finance. If something should become necessary, we would have the ability to do it, but any additional spending would require legislative action through the budget process.
All right.
Any questions?
Any
That's all
questions,
my report.
council?
Nope.
All right. Thank you,
for
Mr.
it.
Brewer. There are no public hearings, ordinances for introduction. Ms. Marsh.
Beginning with ordinance number 2024-01, an ordinance amending Chapter 152 of the Code of the Township of Pequannock and revising fees for certain parks and recreation activities and programs.
Mr. Brewer, any comments?
Not unless there's any questions.
Council, any comments?
No.
Nope.
All right. Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make that motion to introduce ordinance 2024-01.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes. All right. Next on the agenda is introduction of ordinance number 2024-02. Ms. Marsh?
2024-02 is an ordinance to establish and preserve a cap bank in accordance with NJSA 40A:44514.
Very well done. Mr. Brewer?
Only if you want me to torture you.
All righty. Any comments from council?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-02.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes. Next on the agenda is resolutions. Ms. Marsh?
You ready for the long list?
Oh, boy.
Resolution R 2024-60, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the January 19th, 2024 bill list.
That's all you got?
That's all I got.
All right. Are there any comments on the resolution from council?
No.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2024-60.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes. There is no items for discussion, no reports or notices. Next on our agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilman DeRisi is not here. Councilwoman Florence Lynch, what you got?
Just a couple things. I actually did the report right before I got here and printed it out and then left it in the printer.
All right.
But that's all right. We'll wing it. This I'm just going to pass out. I'll send it to you electronically when I get it. This is from the Flood Committee. The Flood Resilience Officer, Jennifer, puts this together.
Excellent.
Pretty much right before we had, at least quarterly.
Are these all the same?
Yeah, just
Okay.
one to everyone. So you can have that. So the flood committee met. That's the report that Jennifer went over at the meeting. We reviewed the last two flood events and reviewed lessons learned and went over we reviewed the communication from the town. Everyone felt that the communication was really good this time from the town, trying to keep everybody apprised of what was happening. The flood committee, as you know, last year talked about going to quarterly meetings, but now they want to go back to monthly meetings. So I'll keep you informed when the next, if they go back to their regular scheduled meeting, it would be Thursday, February 8th at 7 o'clock, but I'll keep you informed if that changes.
Melissa.
It flows.
What?
No, I was just looking at this and home elevation projects. We talked about
Right.
using other people's money. So there's 42 elevations that were completed.
Correct.
32 are in progress.
Yep.
And then we have 10 more applications. So that's a total of 84.
Yep.
So we were at 20 million coming in. Any idea how much money we've gotten from FEMA to do this?
The total numbers, I'd have to look. I don't know. Do you know what they are?
I don't want to ballpark it off.
I don't want to ballpark.
A lot.
It's a lot, though.
Yeah.
In excess of 20 million.
Millions.
It's excellent.
And the one thing that was really good, too, we have the storm alerts that residents can sign up for, whether they live in the flood area or not, and it's now increased after those two flood events by 35%, so we have another like 415 people, from going around telling people get on that, make sure you get on the alert system
I think
and
we
stuff.
might have even more.
Yeah,
What did you say?
it was about
It's over 1,600.
Yeah, it's 1,600 in total, but another 400 plus.
Where we started, right?
Correct. So we have about 1,600 plus residents that have signed up for those alerts, so that's great. So let's hope that it's a long time before we see another flood, but, the flood committee really wants to get out there and improve the communications. There's been a lot of new residents in town that are just, they don't know.
Yeah.
If they weren't here in 2011, they were surprised.
Just done it.
That was very good.
Yeah. Let's see what else. The Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, because of the storm, they had to cancel their January meeting, but they'll be meeting in February, on February 21st at 9:30 in the morning in the Senior Center. Economic Development, they're having their first meeting tomorrow evening in this room, so they'll welcome any new members and go through their reorg. Okay? We all had a chance to go to the fire installation dinner this last weekend. It was great, so congratulations to everyone. I'm sure you're going to touch on that. Congratulations to all the officers. Bobby Van Riper also got an award for all his years of service. He's now retired, and we're going to miss him. What else? And then just a couple of events, talking about volunteers. Pequannock Valley Rotary is holding their comedy night, which is a fundraiser for our fire departments. So Pequannock Valley Rotary, which you may or may not know, encompasses Pequannock, Lincoln Park, and Riverdale. And in those three towns, there's 5 firehouses. And we are doing a fundraiser. The Rotarians are doing a fundraiser. It's a comedy night. It's being held on Saturday, March 2nd. It's going to be held in Lincoln Park at the American Legion there. And 50% of the proceeds, we're going to also have a tricky tray and a raffle, 50-50. And 50% of those proceeds will go to those 5 firehouses, split evenly across the board, because they are the backbone of our community. They're great volunteers, and we wanted to, find a good, a good organization to get behind, and we thought, why not the fire department? So
What time does that start, Melissa?
Doors open at 7, show starts at 8.
And tickets are also available at the door, or you have to
You have to buy the tickets ahead of time. I believe they're $60 a ticket, and it's all over Facebook, and because you can call any of us in Rotary to get the tickets. They are selling out fast, though. So.
All right.
And then the other one I was just going to mention speaking of volunteers, is our Columbiates are holding a baked potato night on Saturday, January 27th. I'm sorry. And you can find that stuff online as well. I think I saw that on Facebook. And there was one more I was going to mention. It was the Knights of Columbus holds a St. Patty's Day dinner dance, and that's going to be in, do I have that date down? That's going, I don't have the date here. That's going to be March 1st, I believe. No, that's, no, I got my date wrong. Anybody know the date? What is it? March 9th. Thank you. I knew somebody in the audience
That's a Saturday.
about that. So, and then we're already sold out at the Suburban Women's Club. They're doing a Tricky Tray. That's on the 8th. But I think the tickets are sold out. And then don't forget our Grains of Hope. Grains of Hope is the 3rd, right?
And setups on the 2nd?
Setups on the 2nd.
Setups on the
Red Soap's
2nd.
on 3rd.
So I don't know, those are the ones I had written down. I'm sure there's other ones going on. I just wanted to mention those, so you can find all that information on Facebook. I've seen.
Yeah, Facebook, the our Pequannock app as well. I mean, everything is out there, so.
It's on our site, yes.
Yeah.
Township stuff is on our site, but.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that moving forward. Do you see that digital board in Lincoln Park on the lake? They put everything on there.
We need a bigger digital board. All right.
But that's it.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Councilman Cole.
All right, I sit on the Two Bridges Sewer Authority. Adam, I'm sure you know, but we'll be getting roughly a $92,000 credit for the first quarter of 2024.
Yes, sir.
I guess that's money that we pay for sewage that we didn't actually have to treat, so.
They estimate flow, yes.
Yeah, right.
It's an interesting
You
process.
think that's from fixing all those things that we fixed last year?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
At this point, it's been a few years since we dealt with the I&I issue. This is more, hopefully, just based upon an estimate return circumstance.
I attended the Coach Spencer induction into the High School Wrestling Hall of Fame. Well-deserved for Coach Spencer. Many, many years of great high school wrestling coaching. It was very well attended. So congratulations to Coach Spencer. Congratulations to the high school music program for a successful fun pancake breakfast. I attended that this last Saturday. And congratulations, as Melissa said, Company 1 and Company 2, the fire department installation dinner. Congratulations to all of the department officers, officials, and thank you both to both fire departments for all you do for our residents of Pequannock Township. I have a scanner at home, and it's eye-opening to sit there and listen to some of these calls that they go out on, so. All of our first responders, first aid squad, fire departments, the police departments, so it's eye-opening. Sometimes I wish I didn't have it on, so. But that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Russell?
Thank you. Just as everybody else said, the fire department's reorganization dinner was very lovely, held at the castle. It was a good time had by all. Congratulations to all of those. And to hear the amount of years that people put in just volunteering is amazing and wonderful. The library had our meeting. Yes, we are working on the roof. I believe we're very close to the roof. I think at the last meeting we discussed that we just wanted to check because the prices are so different. And they got really good references. So we're just checking to make sure that everybody's doing the same thing and that we can hopefully do the go-ahead at next month's meeting.
Are you going to get on the roof and help them?
No. Not at all. So hopefully they'll get that done. They're also going to be interviewing and they're going to hire their own library board attorney so that we can have answers to questions right then and there at our meetings, which will be nice. That committee that Adam spoke about with the county, checking to see if we can use open space funds. I've been asked to be on that committee. Betty, I think you're on that committee also too, right? I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think. Yes, yeah, I think I saw your name on that. So it's just a research to just see, and that'll really help if we can get that. The environmental, the styrofoam collection, as Ryan spoke about, went well. That's such a little known group that does so much behind the scenes. They do a really, really wonderful job helping the environment. You know, they all help out with the river cleanup. They all help out styrofoam collection. They do the rain barrels, and hopefully this year they can do even more rain barrels, because at the minute we mention, they teach you how to make a rain barrel with some old Coca-Cola cans, and it's really good and really good for the environment. So they're a great group too. And that's it.
Thank you very much. I can echo everything that everybody said. You know, Company 1, Company 2, it was fabulous. Pancake breakfast was amazing. I think we calculated out, we made about 1,200 pancakes overall. So, and I probably ate, I don't know, 200. We also have the Pequannock Music Department Tricky Tray. Unfortunately, it's sold out, but they might be releasing some seats. So we're trying to work with that to get some more people in there, because that went really well last year. Other than that, I think everybody touched on everything. I want to thank all the volunteers again. I mean, you are the reason why we have such a fabulous community, so I want to thank you. And anybody that I forgot,
let us know.
Let us know. Board of Ed, thank you. That's one that I did not have on there, but that's another volunteer job, right? Absolutely.
All right, there was one more thing that I just wanted to mention.
Absolutely.
We started it last year, or the year before, where we recognized First Aid Squad and Fire Department members that have significant number of years. So I was approached and asked if this tonight was taking the place of that, and I said no. So I did send an email to Ms. Marsh. I'd like to maybe, for her to get names of people. She can email the chiefs of the three and get names of people that have significant years of service for this year, that we can set up a date. I thought there was 2 months, 2 different times of the year that we agreed that we would do that. So I'd like to get that on our calendar.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Take a look at that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mayor, can I say something real quick?
No.
Speaking of volunteers, something we used to have, and I brought this up before, I don't know if it's something we can work on, but our township website, before we revamped it, did have links to all our volunteer organizations. And the reason it fell behind by the wayside is because the volunteer organizations, whoever was in charge, the names changed. The main contact person would change. Like, it used to be very helpful when the Legion was putting together their list for the parade. And we used to have links to that. I don't know if that's something we can work on. We'd have to put a lot of the onus on the volunteer groups to have a contact here, whether it be Carol or somebody else, and say, okay, here's the contact for this year or that year. I don't know, just a thought.
Just a suggestion is, I think we would need to explore a policy to determine exactly who and how.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little more to it than just, there needs to be defined and figure out what would be included and not included. Because that was some of the issue too, was the different organizations. What's in town, what's not in town, what's comprised of different groups with different missions, and it got a little bit of a challenge. In addition to just the lack of updated information, there were some other factors in play when those decisions were made.
Right.
And there's also, remember, there's a couple of Pequannock town pages that also have that. There's the All Pequannock app. So I mean, at least there is stuff out there.
Going out.
So, yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Also, based on that, we touched on it really quick about the sign up. I want to make sure everybody knows about this sign up. It's on our website, and this way, whenever the township sends information out, that's your best source of information, and you'll get it right on your phone, especially since we just went through a little bit of flooding. That was an issue. Also, if you want to pick up my card, on the back of it has a QR code that literally goes right to that sign-up page. So all you have to do is snap it with your phone, and you'll go right there. It's right on the back of my card. I have a whole bunch up here, and please do me a favor, spread the word, because it's really important to make sure everybody knows, all your neighbors, in case anything happens. It's everything from, picking up leaves to a flooding event and everything in between. So it's really important to make sure everybody knows. Okay? We got that. All right. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anybody wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. I'm just kidding. Come on up. How are you doing? Excellent.
Barbara Muzio, 41 Poplar Avenue, Hampton Plains. I have
notes of what
You could
people said.
actually give them to Carol. And if you could just do me another favor, just speak into the mic. I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Barbara Musio, 41 Poplar, Pompton Plains.
Hi, Barbara, how are you?
Good.
Excellent.
Over the past 30 years, I have been intimately involved with the Pequannock Free Public Library, first as an active and avid supporter of building the new library, then as a library trustee, and as president of the board for 19 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have worked closely with many fine board members and two remarkably dedicated library directors. Together, we have succeeded in creating a well-used, well-funded, and well-loved local library. By comparison, our town council has shown its lack of appreciation by not reappointing board members who were involved in those successes, including Nancy Reish and Joyce Ford Muller, whose sister bequeathed the money that built the extension to the Children's Library. Instead, this town council has systematically replaced them with people who had no involvement or attachment to the library. At the last trustee meeting, there was a large outpouring from the community who want to make sure that the state-mandated library funds will be used for the library. They urged the board to, in the words of the Township Master Plan, support local public knowledge by ensuring the public library is well-funded and meets the needs of township residents. The now 4-3 majority and the least experienced trustees voted against the resolution to place funds in our capital budget despite the strong recommendation from the board's former auditor and current bookkeeper. Ms. Russell has even suggested that we put off replacing the 27-year-old leaking roof until 2025-2026 to instead use the library money for pickleball courts. Why? What is the motive behind this? While far too many delay tactics dominated our meetings through 2023, the roof still leaks and the parking lot remains unpaved and at times dangerous. With the danger now on record here and at several trustee meetings, the town-owned municipal parking lot needs not just repaving, but a complete redesign for safety, and this town council thinks the library should pay for it. Why? In addition, community members have complained, including to Councilman Russell, about the rude and dismissive way she speaks to our professional and dedicated library director. There were many witnesses to this abuse at our last year, and at our current meeting, this past meeting. In fact, Ms. Russell's tone was the impetus for one of our longest-standing board members to become so upset she threatened to resign. This would never be allowed in any workplace and should not be tolerated here. It is unacceptable. At the January 17th library meeting, the newly constituted board removed me from the presidency. No cause given, no discussion had. Ms. Russell's power play to unseat me as president and deny me the vice presidency had made many people angry. Many were stunned by such mean-spirited and unprofessional behavior. Township residents have the right to expect better. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening, Paul Mailer, 29 Arundel Road, Pompton Plains. I have handouts for you. I have some good news for you about the library. Oh, gotta go that way.
Just so the rest of the residents know, all you have to do now is give your name. There's a new law that has passed that you do not give your address anymore.
Okay, so following up on our library situation, I did some research using the statistics from the New Jersey State Library. They actually put out statistics on every library in the community. I'm sorry, every library in the state. So what you see in front of you is some comparison of our library to 6 other libraries that surround Pequannock Township. So our population rank among those 7, we rank second. Total staff hours for the year ranks third. So we don't use quite as many staff hours as maybe we should, because we rank third, but our total hours open per week ranks number 1. So our library staff, even though they're understaffed, works harder than any other library in the area. We're open to the public more than any library in the area. Attendance in our library. Actually, walking through the door, we rank number 1.
even though the largest township in comparison, Montville, has a population half again as big as ours. We rank number 1 in total people attending our library. That's the great work that our former trustees have done, that the Friends of the Library especially, which is a remarkable organization, as well as our current library director. And then also attendance at library programs. Again, we rank number 1. And there's a lot of people that will tell you how much they enjoy those programs for the kids, for adults, and so on. Fantastic work done by those folks. On the opposite side of what I put out, some information, again, comparing the same 7 libraries. In total tax support, we rank number 2. Seems appropriate. Our population ranks number 2. Our total tax support to the library ranks number 2. Our total operating expenditures also rank number 2, and you think that that's the way that it should be. You might note, however, that if you look at Montville, total tax support $1.7 million, total money spent $1.7 million. In Pequannock, total tax money $998, total spent $890. So we need to be spending that money on staff and services and so on, and we're not quite getting that done. And you'll also notice that capital budget expenditures, this is for 2022, the 2023 numbers are not out yet, but we rank dead last. We spent 0. By comparison, Lincoln Park spent $1.3 million. They did an incredible job increasing the size of their library and providing for study areas, which I know that when we did our long-term study for the library, that was one of the things that was requested by businesses and residents alike, these private study areas that we really don't have in our library, but that we have in our long-term plan to do. Cost is about $250,000. Maybe sounds like a lot of money, but when you think that Lincoln Park, smaller community than ours, just spent $1.3 million, $250,000 to upgrade the inside of the library for things that the township really wants and town businesses really want, pretty important thing. So thank you for your time. Great news about our library. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, Sandy, he had his hand up there a minute ago, but then you're next.
Matt Ring with the Little League, and the only reason why I'm back up here is you talked about the grant for the lights. So a couple questions on that. Is that grant, would that be for both lighting systems? Because 1 operates on a separate system than 2 and 3. And so do you know that?
We're going to ask for whatever we can afford within the budget that's there.
Okay, so
do you have an answer to that exactly right now? No.
No, and I didn't expect you to. But I would make a request, because the structure is outside for 2 and 3, where the breakers are, a lot more dangerous than the structure that is inside, for 1. So I would make the suggestion, if it could go anywhere, it goes there. Not to mention that 1 is typically locked with a master key that I know DPW and only certain individuals in town have a key for. So if we can make that note. And 2, if you do get that cost, if you could bring it to the league, to the Little League, because we would be willing to listen, at least maybe if it is a lower cost that we can afford, maybe we can look at helping with that cost, because it would benefit everybody, not just the Little League, I mean, obviously the town as well. And lastly, Little League opening day is April 20th.
That's right.
At 8:15, starting to walk from the middle school, so as always, so now we can get this formally on record, so we don't forget, because we have done that in the past, so my apologies. We will leave from PV Middle School, walk down to Washington 1. Mayor, if your arm is up to it, we'd love to have you throw out the first pitch. We can have your son catch. I know he just exited the league, so he can catch if he'd like to attend as well.
That'd be awesome.
That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Sandy? And just to know, I got to tell you, Little League is such a phenomenal group in town. All the groups in town are good, but I have personal experience with them, and all 3 of my boys have gone through it. It's just awesome. Great memory.
Sandy LaCourte, Pompton Plains, New Jersey. I think it's actually very appropriate that I'm here tonight when you did the recognition of all the volunteer organizations, because this letter that I've written actually kind of ties together a lot of things. We are a community where everything is very intermeshed. I wrote this to Dr. Portis, our superintendent. I hope all is well and look forward to a great 2024. I attended my first Pequannock Township Library Trustees meeting last week to learn more about the status of our library and a calculated strategic effort to change leadership. Upon listening, asking questions, and observing the group dynamics, I was disturbed by what I saw. Your Pequannock Township School District Trustee Representative, Yvette McBain, was clearly a dedicated, knowledgeable team member who was proud to serve until just recently. I observed a trustee who believed in the mission and vision of the library board, who was appalled by this new direction and divisiveness to the point of resignation. Twice during that meeting, I witnessed an educator I have known, though not closely, arise and admonish the behavior and actions of this new board in 2 impassioned speeches. From previous experience, the fact she was moved to this point was out of character. She was visibly upset, almost to tears. It was clear Vet has been a dedicated, trusted, valuable representative of the district and a member of this board. Her reasons for resignation are understandable based upon what I saw from a woman who only wants to help, serve, contribute, and not be thrust into a political conflict on a board that should not be political. I would like to thank her for her service to our district and our community as a member of the Pequannock Township Library Board of Trustees. I hope there will be an opportunity to honor and thank her. That is a meeting I would like to attend. When I consider all of this in the context of the recent bashing of PTHS librarian Leanne Bressinger and the false accusations regarding our Pequannock Township Board of Education during the recent school board elections, it is all starting to create a disturbing trend and picture. I am not supportive of pornographic materials in our schools and understand different people draw that line at different points. As we have previously discussed, I trust our district librarians and the Board of Education to make and monitor these decisions. I understand if I or anyone else has concerns about materials, there is a well-thought-out and researched policy in place to address such concerns. I do believe what is inappropriate in school libraries is essential in our public library, not only for freedom of speech, but also so a rich selection of reading materials on a variety of topics representing a variety of beliefs are available to our residents and library patrons. As you consider Yvette's replacement, based upon what I observed, the next district representative will need to be able to tolerate this environment and have the strength and passion to not only serve as the liaison, but also an advocate for the underserved populations and the necessity for public libraries to serve all. I have recently learned the mission and role of a library trustee, as per Pequannock Township Master Plan, is to support local knowledge by ensuring the public library is well-funded and there are specific state funds set aside for this and meets the future needs of township residents. I then looked up liaison, and I understand we have a liaison from the mayor to that trustee board. Liaison is supposed to, for communication or cooperation, which facilitates a close working relationship between people or organizations. And it says, if someone acts as a liaison with a particular group or between 2 or 3 or more groups, their job is to encourage cooperation and the exchange of information. A trustee, which I have been, in other situations, is an individual person or member of a board given control or powers of administration of property in trust with a legal obligation to administer it solely for the purpose specified, which is what I mentioned before in the master plan. The responsibilities of a trustee are to take legal ownership of the assets held by a trust, the library, and assume fiduciary responsibility for managing those assets and carrying out the purpose of the trust. A trustee is a person who takes responsibility for managing money or assets that have been set aside in a trust for the benefit of someone else. And that's what I did not see, and I'm very disappointed by what I saw. I have participated in wonderful library programs, from vintage tray decoupage to holiday wreath making. I was able to bring my mom. We did watercolor painting. We made homemade soaps on a different occasion, a fall wreath activity, gardening, presentations, Fred Astaire, music. Our library has created an opportunity for library patients to learn new skills, interact with other community members, and participate in new and enriching activities. Imagine what else they could do if they were able to use more of their budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate that. At this point, we're at that 30 minutes, so unfortunately I can't. I'm at 30 minutes already.
I don't want to interrupt the...
All right, one more, last one.
13 minutes, point of order. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Guys, Little League, I appreciate you coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I also have a handout for the council. And my name is Ed Hoffman, and I'm a citizen who lives in Pumpkin Plains.
Ed, do you want to give them to Carol so she can pass them out?
First You'll excuse me if I'm just a little nervous, because this is not my usual
I don't mean
thing to
nervous.
be doing.
It's fine.
But I was drawn because of some of the things that I've heard about what's going on with the library. I'm just a citizen. I have no political interest or financial interest or anything else. Just that I have affection and respect for the library and what it does. I've sat in that library in the afternoons and watched the kids coming in from school. I talked to people who are in there to do research for papers to advance their education or to advance research that they want to do. And things that I heard were disturbing. One, that there was a proposal, or there was attempts to take funds, capital funds, which were designated for the library, and take those funds away from the library and put them into the financing of a pickleball field. My first question is what's so important about a pickleball field that it would be above the interest of the library? The second thing I heard was that one of the trustees of the library was pushing to have these funds, capital funds, taken out. Now, in that handout, it's that funds restricted for capital projects as well as grants and any bequests, etc., are made to establish or maintain the free public library are to be maintained as a surplus. So that would allow somebody perhaps to try to manipulate that for the purposes of taking funds away from the library, as I understand it. Now, on the back of the first page, it says return of excess funds requires state librarian approval. Once the Board of Trustees has adopted a resolution to return excess funds, it shall be forwarded to the resolution to the state library for approval, which I don't know is actually been proposed. As I say, my first thing is, what is so good about a pickleball field that it transcends the needs of the library? The second thing is, I understand that one of the people proposing this move is a trustee at the library. Now, I come from an organization that I'm very proud of, and the idea is there, when you're a member, you fight for that organization. And as I say, I'm not getting me in here, listening to all this, very new to me and very unusual. But I was just drawn by this particular concern. And all I can say is, if you are a member of the team in the library, how do you propose to do something that deducts from the value of the library? And as I understand it, it's not something novel. It is the roof of the library. How long has this been in hold? Now it's proposed to be kept out until 2025. What damage does that do to the library? I'll leave, the answers are with you people. But I raised the question, and I raised it with very deep sincerity, and quite frankly, when I heard it, I was quite angry. I don't think that's fair or ethical. I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Lana?
Oh, Brian.
I saw her first. I got to let her.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, please. Megan. Okay. You here to talk about the library? You would make the 8th resident here tonight talking about the library. You guys are all dear friends. I have so much respect for you, but this thing's starting to look like a third rail about to happen.
Absolutely.
Forgive me, I stood up before talking about federal funds. I found a bunch of federal funds for the library. We're a town that's beautiful and improving, and we want to keep that library going. And I'm coming from the business world, obviously for the SBA where I work. The library is a tremendous business resource for the business owners, the small business owners particularly, in our community. There are publications, which are very, very expensive, that a small business owner can get at the library. When it comes down to even Wi-Fi, when I was a banker, I used to pull into the library parking lot to do my reports and then pull right back out again.
You can even rent a hotspot from the library.
Rent a hotspot, exactly, from our library. So a library is a town resource. And we want to keep it, and this thing's just looking like a third rail, and I think we...
There's a little misinformation out there, but I totally agree with that.
I want to cut through this information and stuff, but, let's take a look at our library and make sure that it's okay moving forward.
I 100% agree.
And Adam, I found a bunch of federal funds available for libraries. We should talk.
Keep them coming. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, Megan?
Megan Dempsey. So, to your point about misinformation potentially being out there, I think more of it is a misunderstanding of the way that budgets work and capital budgets versus operating funds, which I'm sure all of you are fairly well versed in. So what I heard, and I support all of the comments that have been made about the library so far. My experience of the most recent meeting, which was the first one I have attended, after hearing concerns from many friends about the direction the library was going in. And people who have formerly worked in the library and what is happening there, and what's happening with the trustees. I attended this meeting, and it was pretty much spot on what former President Barbara Muzzio described in terms of the attitudes and what was happening there. What I heard tonight at this meeting was this body approve Resolution 2024-02 for a cap bank, which, as Mr. Brewer described, is not an approval of excess spending, but is an insurance policy. It's an opportunity for you to put away some funds for things that arise that are unexpected. What I heard at last week's library board meeting was exactly the same rationale. And to Mr. Mailer's point that not all of the operating budget has been expended or had previously been expended, when you have extra funds in an operating budget, they can be moved into your capital budget. You can't roll them over into operating for the next year. You can't hire somebody new at them. You can move them into capital. In the case of some others, you might, if you have an emergency fund, you can probably move it into that. What I heard being explained at that meeting, and it wasn't explained in budgetary terms because I think the accountant was trying to explain it in layman's terms for people, but what I heard is that there is an excess of funds that sounds like it is over the 20% that is the state mandated, that the library wants to move into their capital budget, and they have at least a 5 to 7 year plan of capital improvements that have been informed by their recent strategic planning process, that have been asked for by the community, and that include things like the leaking roof. Now, yes, there was dispute and there was no decision made on the vendor for the roof, but the action that happened at that meeting was Councilwoman Russell and 3 other trustees voting no twice on an operating budget that had previously been approved, I'm understanding, in November, until the president was told that was a straw vote, which I think is something very questionable and you need to look into further. And then you were able to get one of your appointees to change her vote to no after you appointed another member that you knew would vote no on all of the things that either this council or your liaison has decided they want to roadblock for the library for reasons that are unbeknownst to anybody in this room. So I am extremely concerned about that. I think everyone who has spoken here and the people who were at the meeting last week were very concerned about that. And I think this body needs to have a discussion about what the role of your liaison to the library board is, because in my interpretation and everyone else's, it is to serve, not be a roadblock. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. At this point, we have hit the 30 minutes. I do want to clear up a couple of things. We're at 30 minutes, thank you. So, I'm going to say, first off, library is great. The written word, there's something about it. It's so much better than reading off of these things. You know, it's something that we do with our children. Matter of fact, all 3 of my boys have been through different programs at the library. So I 100% support the library. I think what isn't understood, and I don't know where this pickleball thing comes from, we're not trying to take money away from the library for pickleball. That's absurd. No, that's misinformation, disinformation. No, that has a pickleball court. A pickleball court has nothing to do with the library. A pickleball court has nothing to do with the library. Now, with that said, there are state laws that are in play here. So the state mandates how much money we collect for the library. When I started on council, this is my 8th year on council. When I started on council 7 years ago, it was about $700,000 that was collected for the library. This year, we're at $1.1 million. The library has roughly $500,000 in their savings. So if there's a leaky roof, fix the leaky roof. If we need a new, driveway or additions, yeah. And as we see with these numbers, there's $200,000 plus that go into that savings. So I don't want the fighting. It can be figured out. If the library needs things, that's why they're getting $1.1 million this year. Next year, it's going to be higher. Do it. Put the addition on. Put the quiet rooms in. I know there's talk about that. If the roof is such a priority and it's leaking, why did the past trustees take this long? The money's there. Spend the money. Get it fixed. So that's all I have to say. Moving on.
Can't do it if you keep voting.
There are no prison. Excuse me. Thank you. Approval of minutes. There are no minutes to be presented. Next on the agenda is closed session discussion. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R 2024-61, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss matters of attorney-client privilege?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, at this time, the public portion of the